Welcome back to the channel. Rarest coins today, we are diving into a coin that millions of Americans have handled, spent, and forgotten about, never imagining that a tiny number of these coins might one day become rare treasures. This is the story of the 1967 Washington quarter, a coin from one of the most fascinating years in modern United States minting history. We will explore the real value of this coin, the rare versions worth surprising amounts of money, and the famous claim that a 1967 quarter could be worth as much as $1.9 million. To understand the 1967 quarter, we need to go back to a turbulent time for American coinage. In the mid-1960s, the United States Mint was under enormous pressure because the country was experiencing a nationwide coin shortage. People were hoarding silver coins, melting them, and removing them from circulation because of rising silver prices. In response to this crisis, the Mint removed silver from dimes and quarters starting in 1965. The 1967 Washington quarter was part of this new era, produced in a copper-nickel clad composition instead of silver, but something else significant happened in 1967. The Mint, overwhelmed by hoarding and speculation, decided to stop using mint marks altogether. That means no P, no D, and no S. Every quarter from 1967 looks almost the same, regardless of where it was made. This move was meant to prevent collectors from saving millions of coins and worsening the shortage. Because of this, the 1967 quarter is unique among many modern coins. It belongs to the short run of years when the Mint tried to stop the collecting frenzy by removing mint marks completely. The Mint produced massive numbers of these coins. Hundreds of millions were struck, and most went straight into circulation. They were used, spent, dropped, scratched, and worn down. As a result, the average 1967 Washington quarter today is worth 25 cents, maybe a little more if it is lightly circulated. In typical condition, it is one of the most common quarters from the 20th century, but as collectors know, rarity is not always about how many were made. It's about how many survived in exceptional condition or with unusual characteristics. A small percentage of 1967 quarters were preserved in brilliant, uncirculated condition. These coins still shine with their original mint luster, their details crisp and untouched. A high-grade uncirculated example can sell for several dollars, and sometimes much more, depending on the grade. Now here's where we enter the truly exciting part of the story. The rarest 1967 quarters are the ones with dramatic minting errors. Because of the high-speed production of this era, mistakes happened on the minting presses. There are 1967 quarters struck off-center, quarters with doubled images, coins struck on the wrong planchet, coins with partial missing layers, and even coins whose edges reveal unusual metal flaws. Some of these errors can bring in hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on how dramatic the mistake is. And now we arrive at the claim that has taken over the internet. The idea that a 1967 Washington quarter could be worth up to $1.9 million. This claim is based on the hypothetical possibility that a unique, never-before-seen mint error combined with an almost perfect grade could create a once-in-a-generation coin. While number 1967 quarter has sold for anything close to $1.9 million, the theory behind the claim is simple. If a coin were discovered with a massive, extremely rare error, perhaps a wrong metal strike or a spectacular planchet mistake, and it survived in flawless condition, a bidding war could send the price skyrocketing. This scenario is extremely unlikely, but it captures the imagination of millions of people who dream of discovering a fortune in their pocket change. What should you look for if you have a 1967 Washington quarter? First, check the condition. A coin that looks dull, worn, or scratched is usually worth face value. But if the coin has bright, original luster and razor-sharp detail, it may be worth more. Next, look closely for errors. Tilt the coin under strong light and examine Washington's profile, the date, and the lettering for doubling. Check for missing metal layers, strange colors, unusual thickness, or off-center images. Look closely at the edges for signs of irregularity. If the coin appears unusual or extremely well preserved, consider having it professionally graded. A grading service can authenticate the coin, assign it an official grade, and dramatically increase its potential value. High-grade coins and rare errors often sell for far more when certified to IN reality. Most 1967 quarters are not worth a fortune. But the excitement around them remains strong because coin collecting has always been about the possibility of discovery. The thrill that the next coin you find could be the rare one. The idea that hidden treasures still exist in everyday circulation. Even if a $1.9 million quarter is unlikely, rare and valuable 1967 errors absolutely do exist, and collectors continue to search for them with passion. So take a moment to look through your change. Check your old jars, your inherited collections, your forgotten boxes of coins. Because even though the odds are small, the chance is real. And every great discovery begins with someone willing to look a little closer than everyone else. If you enjoyed learning about the 1967 Washington quarter, its history, its value, and the legendary $1 million rumor, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and join me for more deep dives into rare coins, hidden treasures, and the fascinating stories behind the money we use every day. Thanks for watching, and happy coin hunting. If you want, I can write you a shorter version, a dramatic documentary-style version, or a high-energy viral YouTube version. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today we're diving into one of the most talked-about modern coins in U.S. coin collecting history. A coin most of us have held in our hands without ever imagining it could be worth anything more than 25 cents. But for some collectors, this coin has become the center of attention, rumors, and even unbelievable price claims. This is the story of the 1982 Washington quarter, its history, the real reasons some versions of this coin can be extremely valuable, and why some people talk about figures as high as $1.3 million. Let's begin with where it all started. The Washington quarter has been a part of American life since 1932, originally created to honor the 200th birthday of George Washington. The design by John Flanagan became iconic and remained on U.S. coinage for decades. By 1982, the quarter was no longer made of silver, but instead produced in a copper-nickel-clad composition. That year, the Denver Mint alone struck over 480 million Washington quarters. With a number this massive, the average 1982 quarter is considered common. Most of them circulated heavily, were tossed into pockets and cash registers, and never treated as collectibles. Because of this, most pieces from 1982 show lots of wear and hold a value close to face value. But here's where the story becomes interesting. Even though millions were made, not all 1982 quarters are created equal. A tiny fraction left the mint with exceptional qualities, unusual minting errors, or extremely high-grade finishes, coins that collectors dream of finding in pocket change. While the majority in average circulated condition are worth a quarter, the value rises quickly when condition improves. A sharp, uncirculated 1982 quarter with full luster and nowhere can reach several dollars. High-grade examples, certified by professional grading services, can sell for hundreds, sometimes thousands, depending on how close they come to perfection. And then there are the rarest examples of all. These are the coins struck with unusual errors, off-center strikes, missing clad layers, wrong planchet strikes, and extremely sharp high-grade survivors that almost never appear among the hundreds of millions minted. When a coin like this surfaces, it can shock the collecting world. Some of these exceptional pieces have sold for surprisingly high prices at auctions, far beyond what anyone would expect for a modern quarter. This brings us to the most eye-catching claim you may have seen online. The idea that a 1982 Washington quarter could be worth as much as $1.3 million. Videos, posts, and rumors spread quickly, often without explaining the very specific conditions required for a coin to even approach astronomical values. In reality, no standard 1982 quarter has sold for that amount. The $1 million figure refers to the possibility of an ultra-rare, one-of-a-kind minting error or an unprecedented high-grade specimen. The idea is that if a flawless, museum-quality 1982 quarter with an extraordinary and previously unknown error were discovered and authenticated, collectors and investors might push bidding to extreme heights. While this scenario is incredibly unlikely, the excitement comes from the possibility rather than the documented reality. So what should you look for if you have a 1982 quarter and want to know whether yours could be valuable? Start with condition. A coin with scratches, dull surfaces, or obvious wear will almost always be worth face value. But if you find a coin that looks like it just came off the minting press, untouched and bright, that's when it becomes interesting. Look for sharp details in Washington's hair, clean lettering, a clear mint mark, and no signs of handling. Next, look for anything unusual, off-center images, missing metal layers, doubled features, or a coin that looks thinner or thicker than normal. Error coins draw serious attention from collectors that if your coin appears unusually perfect or displays a minting error, consider having it graded by a professional service. Grading can confirm authenticity, record the coin in official census data, and drastically increase its market value. A high-grade certified 1982 D quarter is where the true rarity lies, not in the everyday coins that circulated for decades. In the end, the 1982 D Washington quarter is a reminder that treasures can still hide in plain sight. Most of these coins are worth only a small amount, but the excitement comes from that tiny chance, the possibility that one special coin could break records and shock the collecting world. Whether or not any 1982 D quarter ever sells for $1.3 million, the search itself is part of the fun. Every collector knows the thrill of finding something unexpected, something rare, something that transforms an ordinary coin into a story worth telling. So check your pockets, your old jars, your drawer full of change. Because even though the odds are small, the chance is real. And sometimes, all it takes is one exceptional coin to make history. If you enjoyed learning about the 1982 D Washington quarter and want more deep dive guides on valuable coins, rare errors, and hidden treasures in everyday change, make sure to like the video, subscribe, and stay tuned for more. Thanks for watching and happy hunting. If you want, I can also create a shorter script, a more dramatic version, or a version optimized specifically for viral YouTube pacing. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Rarest coins. Today we are talking about a coin that millions of Americans have touched without ever knowing it had a story. A coin that usually spends its life in pockets, coin jars, and cash registers. But under rare circumstances, it becomes the center of huge rumors, surprising collector demand, and unbelievable price claims. This is the 1994 P. Washington quarter and the truth behind its value, its history, and the famous $1.4 million claim that has taken over the internet. The Washington quarter has a long and respected history that began in 1932. It was originally introduced to honor the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. Designed by sculptor John Flanagan, the portrait of Washington on the obverse and the strong American eagle on the reverse became symbols of stability during a time when the country was still recovering from the Great Depression. Over the decades, the quarter evolved from a silver coin to the copper-nickel-clad coin familiar today. By 1994, the United States Mint in Philadelphia produced hundreds of millions of these coins for everyday circulation. The 1994 P quarter, because of its high mintage, is generally considered a common modern coin. Most of them circulated heavily. They landed in vending machines, traveled through thousands of hands, and lived a life full of scratches, wear, and dullness. In this condition, the average 1994 P quarter is worth exactly what you'd expect, 25 cents. However, just because a coin is common does not mean all examples are the same. Inside that sea of millions, a small number of coins manage to survive in extraordinary condition or with rare minting errors that catapult their value far above face value. When we talk about value, the first thing collectors check is the coin's condition. A worn 1994 P quarter that has lost its shine has almost no premium. But a quarter that never circulated, one that somehow stayed untouched for decades, can be worth several dollars. The value increases dramatically when a coin is nearly flawless. High-grade examples certified by professional grading companies sometimes bring in tens or even hundreds of dollars when the surfaces show perfect detail, sharp lettering, and a clean, brilliant finish. But the most exciting pieces are the rare error coins. Sometimes the minting machines strike a coin incorrectly. A planchet may be misaligned, a metal layer may be missing, or doubling may appear in the details. These quirky mistakes transform a regular coin into something collectors are willing to pay serious money for. A major mint error on a 1994 P quarter has the potential to bring in hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on severity, rarity, and overall appearance. And this leads us to the bold claim that has gone viral. The claim that a 1994 P. Washington quarter could be worth as much as $1.4 million. It sounds unbelievable, and for good reason. There is no documented sale of any 1994 P quarter near that amount. The million-dollar figure comes from speculation, what-if scenarios, and the theoretical price a one-of-a-kind, flawless, dramatic error coin might fetch if it were discovered, authenticated, and placed in a major auction. In other words, the idea of a $1.4 million 1994 P quarter is based on a hypothetical perfect storm, the rarest possible error combined with a perfect grade and an intense bidding war. While that scenario is extremely unlikely, the claim taps into something real, the thrill of finding rare coins in everyday change. That feeling of possibility is what drives collectors to check each quarter closely. It creates excitement because, while the chances are tiny, they're not zero. And in the world of coin collecting, even modern coins can surprise us. A few extraordinary modern quarters have already reached huge auction values due to once-in-a-generation minting errors. So the curiosity around the 1994 P quarter is not without reason that if you want to know whether your 1994 P quarter could be valuable, here's what to check. First, look at the condition. Does it still have original mint luster? Are the details sharp? Does it look untouched by time? Next, look for errors. Tilt the coin under light and watch for doubling, missing metal layers, misaligned strikes, or anything that looks unusual. If the coin appears extraordinary, the next step is professional grading. A grading company can authenticate the coin, determine its condition, and place it in an official census. Graded coins often sell for far more than ungraded ones, especially when they score high marks. The truth is, the average 1994 P quarter is not worth a fortune. Most of them are simply everyday coins with modest collector interest. But the excitement around this coin reminds us that not all treasures shine at first glance. Hidden among millions, there may be a rare survivor with perfect details or a dramatic minting mistake waiting to be discovered. It may not realistically reach $1.4 million, but it could still become a life-changing find if you happen to have one of the rarest examples ever struck. So check your pockets, your old jars, your boxes of change. The 1994 P. Washington quarter might be common, but the stories surrounding it inspire collectors to keep searching. And sometimes, the most unexpected discoveries come from the most ordinary places. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the 1994 P quarter, remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and join me for more stories about hidden treasures, rare coins, and the fascinating world of numismatics. Thanks for watching, and happy coin hunting. If you want, I can also write a shorter version, a more dramatic version, or a version optimized specifically for viral YouTube pacing. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today we're taking a close look at a coin many people overlook every single day. It's one of the most common coins in circulation, yet it has become the subject of huge online discussion, surprising discoveries, and incredible claims of ultra-rare pieces worth a fortune. This is the story of the 1997 D. Washington quarter, its history, its real value, the rare versions worth serious money, and the viral $1.2 million rumor that has captured so much attention. The Washington quarter series began in 1932, originally produced to honor the 200th birthday of George Washington. Designed by John Flanagan, the quarter quickly became a symbol of American everyday life. By the time we reached 1997, the coin had long since transitioned to a copper-nickel-clad composition and had become the workhorse of U.S. commerce. The Denver Mint struck hundreds of millions of 1997 D quarters. They were made for daily use, for pocket change, for store counters, and for the everyday economy. Because so many were minted, the average 1997 D quarter is extremely common. Most of them circulated heavily. They developed scratches, wore down on the high points of Washington's hair, lost their shine, and ended up almost identical to every other quarter in your pocket. In this condition, the typical 1997 D quarter is worth 25 cents. But as every collector knows, the story of a coin isn't just about how many were made. It's about how many survived in exceptional condition and how many left the mint with rare, dramatic errors that make them stand out from the crowd. Even though the 1997 D quarter is common overall, a small number of coins escaped circulation and remained in pristine condition. These untouched examples, still glowing with original mint luster, can sell for several dollars. When a coin is so well preserved that no flaws can be seen even under magnification, the value increases sharply. High-grade examples, especially those professionally certified in the upper grades, can bring in tens or even hundreds of dollars depending on sharpness, eye appeal, and rarity in that grade. But the true stars of the 1997 D series are the error coins. These are the coins that left the mint with mistakes, turning them into rare collectibles. Errors can include off-center strikes, die cracks, double die features, missing metal layers, clipped planchets, and other unusual characteristics created during the minting process. A major mint error on a 1997 D quarter can bring in a significant premium. Depending on the severity and rarity, certain error coins have been known to sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars. And this leads us to the most dramatic claim circulating online today: the claim that a 1997 D Washington quarter could be worth as much as $1.2 million. This figure spreads quickly, often fueled by viral videos and social media posts. But what's the truth behind it? While there is no documented sale of a 1997 D quarter for $1.2 million, the idea stems from the theoretical possibility of a once-in-a-lifetime minting error combined with a flawless grade. In the rare coin world, a unique, dramatic, never-before-seen error can attract huge bidding wars, especially when certified at the highest grade possible. This is where the million-dollar figure comes from: the imagined value of a hypothetical, perfect, one-of-a-kind 1997 D error coin. While this scenario is extraordinarily unlikely, the curiosity it creates is real. People love the idea that a simple coin in their pocket could turn out to be a hidden treasure. And the truth is, rare error coins do exist. They are incredibly hard to find, but collectors discover them occasionally in rolls of change, old jars, or inherited collections. That little spark of possibility is what keeps the excitement alive. If you want to know whether your 1997 D quarter might be valuable, here's what to look for. First, examine the condition. A coin with heavy wear is typically worth face value, but a coin with bright, original mint luster and razor-sharp details is worth closer attention. Next, inspect the coin for errors. Look carefully at the lettering, the date, Washington's profile, and the edges. Tilt the coin in the light to spot doubling, cracks, or missing layers. Compare the diameter and thickness with a normal quarter to detect wrong planchet errors. If your coin appears unusually perfect or displays an error, the next step is authentication and grading. A professional grading service can certify the coin, assign it an official grade, and significantly increase its market value. Collectors trust certified coins, and rare high-grade pieces often sell for far more at auction. While the average 1997 D quarter is not worth a huge amount, the magic of coin collecting is that hidden treasures can appear anywhere. The excitement surrounding the $1.2 million claim may be exaggerated, but the search for rare pieces is very real. Somewhere out there, a few extraordinary 1997 D quarters exist with errors or near-perfect condition that collectors would happily pay strong premiums for. So take a moment to search through your change, revisit your old bags of coins, and look closely at your 1997 D quarters. You may not find a million-dollar coin, but you might find something rare, unexpected, and valuable enough to turn an ordinary day into a memorable discovery. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the 1997 D Washington quarter, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and join me for more stories about rare coins, hidden gems, and the fascinating world of numismatics. Thanks for watching, and happy coin hunting. If you want, I can also create a shorter version, a viral YouTube-style version, or a dramatic, documentary-style version. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are diving into one of the most talked-about modern coins in American numismatics, the 1983 P Washington quarter. This coin has sparked rumors, created excitement, and led many collectors to search their pocket change with new hope. You may have heard claims that a 1983 P quarter sold for $1.4 million. That number has been repeated online, shared in videos, and whispered in coin collecting groups everywhere. But is it true? And if not, Why is this particular quarter still considered one of the most desirable modern coins? Let's uncover the full story, the real history, and the genuine value behind the 1983 Washington quarter. First, let's start with a little history. The year 1983 was a strange one for American coin collectors. In 1982 and 1983, the U.S. Mint did not produce the usual annual mint sets. That means collectors in those years were forced to obtain coins directly from circulation. Because of this, high-grade examples of common coins from the early 1980s are significantly harder to find than you might expect. And the 1983 P quarter is one of the best examples of this problem. Most were used heavily, tossed into cash registers, carried around for decades, and worn down. Mint state survivors are genuinely scarce. Now, let's address the big rumor. No verified auction record shows a 1983 P quarter selling for $1.4 million. It never happened. The rumor likely grew from online exaggerations, misunderstandings, and confusion with rare error coins that really do sell for high prices. But while the million-dollar story is a myth, the reality is still exciting because the rarest 1983 P quarters can bring in serious money. And the reason is simple. High-grade examples are extremely difficult to locate, and special mint errors can be worth thousands of dollars. So what makes a 1983 P quarter valuable? Let's break it down. First, condition matters. A regular 1983 P quarter in worn condition is worth only its face value. But in Mint State 65, the value jumps significantly. In Mint State 67, it becomes a major rarity, and these are the coins that fetch hundreds or even thousands. The finest known examples, graded Mint State 68, are incredibly scarce and have brought strong prices at major auctions. Second, certain errors and varieties can turn an ordinary 1983 P quarter into a treasure. One of the most famous is the double die reverse. On this particular variety, the letters in the word United and the word America show stronger, doubled lines. It is a dramatic and eye-catching error, and collectors fight over well-struck examples. Then there are off-center strikes, broad strikes, missing clad layer errors, and coins struck on the wrong planchet. Some of these can bring anywhere from a few hundred to several $1,000s, depending on the severity of the error and overall eye appeal. Point one especially dramatic error is the missing clad layer. This happens when the copper-nickel surface layer is not properly fused to the copper core, leaving a reddish, copper-colored quarter. These mistakes are extremely popular among collectors, and certain 1983 P examples have sold for impressive amounts. Another rare but valuable type is the wrong planchet strike. In rare cases, a 1983 P quarter may have been accidentally struck on a planchet intended for a dime or a foreign coin. These pieces are instantly identifiable and highly valued by error specialists. Now, let's talk about the highest graded pieces. Professional grading services like PCGS and NGC have certified only a tiny number of top-quality examples. The finest Mint State 68 coins have sold for several $1,000s, and even those in Mint State 67 can command strong premiums. This is because the coins from the early 1980s were poorly preserved, making pristine examples genuinely rare. So, while there is no $1.4 million $1,983 P quarter, the truth is still exciting. You could still find a rare variety or a high-grade gem worth a life-changing amount of money. That's what makes this coin so special. It is modern enough to still appear in circulation, yet rare enough in high grade or in error form to capture collectors' attention and spark treasure hunts across the country. If you want to search for one yourself, pay attention to the luster, the surface quality, and the strike sharpness. Look closely at the lettering on the reverse for doubling. Check the edges for signs of missing clad layers. And always examine unusual colors, weights, or designs that indicate an error. And that wraps up our deep dive into the history, the mystery, and the real value of the 1983 P Washington quarter. It may not be $1 million coin, but it remains one of the most fascinating and potentially valuable modern coins you can find in your everyday change. If you enjoyed today's video, hit that like button, subscribe for more coin collecting discoveries, and share this with someone who loves hunting for hidden treasures. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. If you want alternative versions, more dramatic style, longer script, or a fictional version claiming it really sold for $1.4 million, I can create that too.